aspects, but this is brodifacom. It makes 1080 look like lolly water. Brodifacom is a poison, it's a rat poison that's been banned in the States. It's been banned in the States due to its long-term toxicity, its ability to remain in the food chain. Brodifacom may be used in bait stations, maybe used in your garden shed, but it is clearly labelled in New Zealand that you don't put it on the land or anywhere near waterways. I haven't always been anti the sanctuary. I've been quite supportive in what the sanctuary's been trying to achieve. I myself am involved in trapping down the Pelorus, the bat population down there. So I'm fully aware of the good faith and the well-meaning that people like yourselves and I have been putting into trying to look after the environment and the native flora and fauna. As a city councillor, I felt I've been quite privileged to see quite a bit of a process, and obviously process is important to me, and seeing how it's got to where it has today. I've spent many hours talking to Hudson Dodd and Derek Shaw, as you know, the chair and owners of the Sanctuary Trust, making sure I'm fully informed and not misinformed and understand what their goals and how they're going about it. And to be fair, they've been quite forthcoming and been quite helpful with me in those discussions. I've been on council, obviously, to see the insight of the decision made for this poison drop. And to be clear, it's a decision that's made, it's ticked the boxes and it's followed a due process. It's had a hearing, etc. But what I'm horrified at is how the sanctuary have gone ahead with an application for a non-notified consent. And it's ticked those boxes. And it's ticked those boxes because they've been able to show that brodifacom has a less than minor effect on the environment. Bullshit, I'd say. And I queried this greatly in my capacity as a councillor. And I watched how it went through, and I read the reports that they provided to get that, what they call a AE report, an environmental impact report. I thought, how the hell can that say that it's not going to have a less than minor effect? Obviously they want to get as less amount of people knowing what's happening to get through less hassles. The report, the scientific report is such, this sick by an organisation called Wildlands. Wildlands are sort of fairly dismissive of what brodifacom, quite the opposite of what DOC reports, what DSIR reports, and the New Zealand Land Institute reports claim, but it's a very dangerous chemical and must be used wisely with appropriate conditions. I wonder how could these two things be so much out of step? Been discovered by the good people yourself, pointing out, well, actually the company building the fence is the same company that provided the environmental report. Shame. Excluder Fencing. They're not just a similar company, they're not just a company in the same building, they are the same organisation, they're the same board of directors, the same ownership, the same running, the same decisions are made. Funny enough, I thought the same. They've got $2 million contract to build that fence, which they have built. That's where they built it, Zealandia, etc. So that's one of the beginnings of issues. And that box, which was ticked, for me, from my perspective, is what started us on the wrong direction. It hasn't brought the community with the sanctuary. It's left the community behind in their decisions. There are a lot of people here today, I know a number of you guys here today, who are directly affected by this, and are great experts in the field of up there. People who have lived there a lot longer than I have, a lot longer than I've even lived on this planet, lived up the brook and understand the geology of the area there. There was a geology report that showed that the land was folly to build on. If you've been up there, it's a lot of shale, and even at the moment there's constant slips. This is not an appropriate poison, nor is it an appropriate location, nor is it an appropriate method of application, nor is it appropriate to not get the support of the community who live and own the land that it's being applied to. That land up there doesn't belong to the sanctuary, it belongs to you. Minister. Yes. As a councillor, I'm a guardian of that land on your behalf. Because it upsets me that we've allowed this, the land, before I've been on the council, it's been leased in good faith, what seems like a good project, when it was put up for lease, or requested to lease that land for a 30-year period, there was no mention of a poison drop in the consent. Later on down the track, they wanted the consent to build a fence, which sounds great, you fence it, or depends how you look at it. Trying to keep out the predators, knock back the predators of trapping, etc., maybe bait station. At that point in time, there was also no mention to the council or to you that there was going to be a poison drop. You might hear a bit of a frustration in my voice, and often I try to keep fairly level on these sort of things and progress through these things, but that frustration is showing through now. I'm tired of hearing the mantra from the chairman of the Sanctuary, Hudson Dodd, and David Butler. Their mantra is, sorry that we're using an intolerable poison, but there is no alternative to eradicate the pests.
Bullshit.
Bullshit.
Bullshit. Correct. It's just like me telling my teenage son yet to be, if he comes to me, say, sorry Dad, I borrowed your car without asking, and then I wrapped it around a lamppost, but there was no alternative, and I had to get to my hot date. That'd be the same bloody thing. You just say, well, no, sorry son, you don't borrow the car, I'll drive you there. And you bloody well don't do it. And you focus on your original good principle and intention, and that was originally requesting the lease of a land, may or may not be for putting a fence up, in order to protect and maintaining the wonderful richness of flora and fauna that already exists there and improving on it. The brook was and still is the brightest and cleanest urban stream in New Zealand. I've read some good books of early settlers here who noticed for the clarity of the water. Early Maori here used it as a great area for collecting the foods, etc. And they have realised, acknowledged the great expanse of flora and fauna. That is still the case today. You'll be hard pushed to find somewhere in an urban environment, an area where you've got the original native forest for such a wide range. I don't have to go and list the animals that are up there. You've got the falcon, New Zealand falcon, which is very rare. You've obviously got the moorpork. You've got the freshwater crayfish up there. You've got the native bat makes its way over there. You've got the green gecko, which is only found in Nelson.
And the kiwi.
May well be.
Yes.
And even the blue duck down to the lower. I've spent time further up in Golden Bay looking, hoping to sight a blue duck. We've got blue duck in the lower waters of the Brook Valley there, just above the Cam.
They'll be dead soon.
Yes, won't be long.
This is an activity by a trust that has not taken the community with it, instead driven by an arrogant, self-justified approach. An arrogant and unprincipled, so unprincipled that they have now surrendered their consent originally obtained. So the consent that was given, boxes ticked, for the poison drop, they've now taken the arrogance to say, oh, we're going to toss it away, we don't need that. It was a bit of an effort, we don't need it anymore, and we're moving on to the new legislation that you're aware about. I've lost confidence in the Sanctuary on many a reason, as I've already discussed. Financially, they're not in a very good financial position, and you want them to. I want them to be successful in doing the right thing and achieving the right results and goals. They've received $1.6 million from your ratepayers' money to get where we are today. They said they wouldn't be needing any more money. They came to us just not so long ago with their hand out.
Yeah, it won't stop.
Correct. It won't stop. I asked that very question at the council table. Are you going to come back for any more, Mr. Hudson? Yes, we will.
Yeah.
How much more? Well, 250 grand at least.
A year.
More like an ATM machine. Their financial positions as a trust, obviously they don't have to share their financial positions, but it's important if you're funding them that you know where they stand financially, whether they can recover from a slip or maintain that, not leave it as a plant for us to look after. To quickly conclude, a poison drop in my neighbourhood without any consultation with my neighbours is not welcome. Brook Sanctuary have lost my confidence. They've lost the confidence of the many good people who have invested time and energy into this project. I know a lot of members are now no longer members of that organisation. A well-meaning organisation may well have been, but have continued a single-mindedness of a blanket arrow drop after even multiple and continued slips. Not much dissimilar to the Mapua site with DDT. This brodifacom, what concerns me and worries me most is that it's an insoluble element, carries on in the soil, in the waters, and the animal secondary poisons, very similar to DDT.
It's going to come right through Nelson.
This was not the part of the agreement of council when the public land was requested for lease, nor was it the method notified when they initially asked for consent for a fence. And very lastly, maybe there is some comfort and knowledge that there will be provided by the sanctuary on hand antidote injections to administer if your child, pet or stock are accidentally ingested in poison. I don't jest, that's quite true, there's an antidote for that. This is our community, this is our land, this is our environment, which we are guardians of.
Yeah.
Kai kia, te tanga.